Yeah, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck, Happenings YouTube Atheist Community and Debates. Well, okay, conversation, fun. Anyway, it's hard to get the debate part to happen. Nobody shows up, unfortunately. So anyway, it was an okay evening in the tiny chat arena. Got through it okay anyway. I stayed awake and stayed till kind of late, 7 or something. So, not altogether horrible. Yeah, but nothing, there was a few little moments. I mean, little 60-second, 2-minute pieces maybe, where I said something totally brilliant. But I'm not going through all that crap to find them. Yeah, hell with that. Horses. See if there's any bear tracks in there. Yeah, a little bit obsessed about the bear thing. Anyway, I haven't taken this path in a while. It's a bit weird. Guess I could go that way, but I won't. I'm used to going this way. Anyway, so yeah, not totally useless, but not exactly, solving the problem. I guess there's some use to all of it, just because there's it's just this whole point of what are you really arguing? Are you arguing with people's motivations? Are you arguing with their emotions? Are you arguing with their logic? Are you arguing, do you need to educate them first? Do you have to assess how much education they have before you can try to explain? Do people fully understand the impact of evolution? I mean, fully understand it, like they've heard about it, but do they surely completely understand just how insidious replicating molecule is? And so this is sort of the problem I pointed out before, is this idea that you have to sort of write the perfect joke. And this is like the perfect, to get anywhere here, you have to kind of figure out a way to argue this, to diagram it, speech on it, lecture on it, that's it, a good word, lecture. Provide a nice little tight, half hour to 40 minutes of explanation, description, that can basically take anyone, from the beginning through the story, and they'll get it. They'll understand what the hell you just said. They'll understand the pieces of emphasis, the importance of the argument. It'll have enough, it'll trigger just enough emotion, not too much emotion. People won't react too hostily. They'll be interested enough. It's like this perfect cookie recipe, where it's the perfect cookie. Everybody loves it, like an Oreo or something. Probably not a good example because, lots of people find Oreos obnoxiously sweet. Anyway, so yeah, that's sort of what I'm working at, so I might as well do some of this practicing. And so some of this small talk, I suppose, has some element of value in it, in the sense that you're trying to gauge and measure, how easy or hard it is to slide people into conversation, and how resistant they are to this idea of, what, you're going to get serious now? And how fast or hard they run away, when you start opening these gnarlier doors. And it is all how you open them too, how gross it is. You kind of have to work up to it. Get them in the... Yeah, it really is a ride. It really is a progression that's needed in framing and forming, this description of reality, this map. So I guess that sort of goes with the mapping part that I'm working on, and the idea of finding a way to frame it and describe it, illustrate it, and all that stuff. And whether I'm being whether success or failure, it's just so hard to tell until you're, until you got the end product. I mean, lots of people, while they were making great movies, thought the movie was a mess and a piece of shit, and it turned out absolutely brilliant. Apocalypse Now, stuff like that. They really didn't think they had what they needed, because everything was so fucked up. And they just edited it all together, and it came out to be a masterpiece and all that kind of shit. So yeah, where am I going from there? So yeah, you just just do what I'm doing. I'd like to do it better. I'd like to have a staff. Yeah, I like to assign duties. I'd like to manage its production rather than actually having to produce it all. And I'm sure some people would help out if I could give them assigned tasks. I can't be that sure. Yeah, no, never mind. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, the people that find this easiest to understand are the people who are in, the most broken a condition. Because it just becomes quite obvious when you do sit in the bottom of it. It just is so obvious. And you're just like, oh, yeah, the only way I could not see this is you have to totally, seduce the fuck out of me. You really do have to, get me to put the blinders back on. Because it really is just so obvious how unworth it all the bullshit is. And all the crap we get caught up in. And it is that crap. So, okay, well, enough of that overviewy stuff of the debate room. But yeah, we really need this debate thing to happen. I brought it up a little bit in a video right before this that was actually a video it's like one of those bad movies. I just didn't think it was a video. And I very rarely make a video and not post it. I mean, it only happens, once a month, let's say. And, I just wasn't very happy with it. And I was going to delete it out of the camera before I started walking here. And so then I played it again. And I said, well, wait a minute, this is a video. It's not, it gets a little rambly here and there, gets a little confused and weird, but it has some good stuff in it. And so it was just kind of funny that it really is pretty good as a video. And I had just a completely negative impression. But anyway, in that video I do raise, I forgot the reference point, so that's a little bit irritating. But it's something about doing this thing. Oh yeah, the idea that we're going to have to, as a people on Earth, we got to fix this. We got to make something else happen. Because this structure isn't working. And even in this medium, we have this YouTube medium, and they're all trying to turn it into some sort of social network. They're taking all the, the really constructive power tools out of it. And to some extent, I guess, I'm to blame for some, dysfunction within the community because of my lack of manners. But that's almost an annoying little piece of this idea that we have to, that there has to be this rigid format in terms of style. And that shouldn't be important. Certainly shouldn't be a deciding factor in whether or not there's an argument to be made. But I guess it's part of it. You could just argue almost that it's the fact that there is no coherent subject organization. Videos aren't organized in some way to make it clear what's this would to force this stuff together in some way and to force the combatants into each other's faces whether they like each other or not, because they would have to go to the room or the place or the collection where the argument is and all the reference to videos are, and so they wouldn't be able to join in the conversation unless they were willing to acknowledge what is being stated collectively, because there would be too many cross-references for them to deny that foundational conversation. Everybody would have to be up to speed, on the required listening list, and that would have to be part of the context of being a participant is having some literacy on the subject. So then you can avoid the redundancies of, people making redundant arguments. Arguments that have already been taken care of or dealt with. Anyway, so that aside, I don't know why I'm exactly going there. I mean, getting to the formatting stuff again. I think I wanted to say something else. Luddite made one of these standard, he's not such a bad guy kind of videos. And, whatever. I find it kind of just, it's almost obnoxiously patronizing. But whatever. I mean, I certainly do make my own commentary regarding other people's performance. And I'm certainly... I certainly stand from a point of view where I see their flaws and errors and their shortcomings and their dysfunctions, and the weakness of their participation. So I can't say that I'm less whatever in that regard. But I guess I've never felt the need to. I don't know whether I've never done it, but yeah, I just don't make videos, on these kinds of subjects of assessing somebody's entire performance or something, or internet participation, or whatever you want to call it. It just seems a little bit, whatever. And I'd say it was okay if, like I said, if it was either, it's just such a left-handed compliment or whatever they call that. It's there's no point in calling somebody smart and wrong. Right and stupid. I mean, what's the alternative? It's just, whatever. It's just not quite satisfactory. And but if I'm going to reverse the critique, which I won't do for a whole video, it's not even a critique. It's just this idea that I don't think there's a counter argument still. These people are saying I'm wrong. They're not quoting the exact content that is wrong beyond saying, for Luddite anyway, he's at least illustrative enough to say he thinks it's running a profit. Now, he doesn't explain to me exactly how the concept of profit can exist in this atmosphere when you have to create the needer before you can create the satisfaction. So you have to essentially create your own audience for your performance. So you're basically saying, well, listen, the audience is applauding, therefore it's a good show. Yeah, well, you constructed the audience out of people who would applaud. So that's not saying much. You still haven't explained to me why there's no visceral reaction by anyone to the absence of the 7 billion extra people we could support on planet Earth, theoretically, or that we don't have room for. So we've left 7 or 10 or 500 trillion people at the gas station because they can't fit in the car. We've abandoned them, and somehow nobody misses them. Nobody laments their non-existence. Somehow they don't feel like, they don't recognize the crowded bus syndrome, and they don't think about the poor non-existents who aren't here to have all this fun. And we certainly don't, as I pointed out, lament the absence of the Martians or the Venetians. So until he has a response to that, he can't really talk about this idea of a profit. That somehow he thinks it's, he's arguing that the day we can't come up with a defense for life, then life should fail. Well, I don't think you have come up with a defense, an affirmative defense. Certainly a defense to the argument that you're just running on addiction. You're running on a perception of value that has nothing to do with reason and everything to do with personal, subjective, conditioned horninesses, attachments, hungers, tastes. Erroneous, arbitrary taste sensations, bigotries and prejudices, preferences and prejudices. That's probably a good title for a movie. Instead of Pride and Prejudice, preference and prejudice. Because that's what the world's running on. Is this visceral gut sensation, and it's not running on any kind of rational calculation of any rational acknowledgement of psychology. So again, we're back to the series of videos I've done with the title Intelligence Good, Psychology Fucktarded. People have to recognize their psychology as not a very reliable source of value declaration. Anyway, I believe I'm done. Until the next time. Kind of a lovely day. I don't feel very lovely, but let's see what happens. Yeah. Ah, look at that. Didn't hit